Officer in Cuddalore district, Tamil Nadu. I'm sharing my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So our project is now, it's called as Tamil Nadu Valthukottam project. Previously, it was Tamil Nadu Rural Transformation Project. So the objective of the Tamil Nadu Rural Transformation Project is to promote the rural enterprise, access to finance and employment opportunities in selected 120 blocks of Tamil Nadu. TNRTP is implementing at 280 village panchayat of 6 blocks in Cuddalore districts, such as Banruti, Kurjipadi, Annagramam and Parangipete, Mel Bhuvanagiri, Kumarachi, covering 28 village panchayat. Tamil Nadu Rural Transformation Project, it's onboarded in state district implementation in end of the 2019. It was funded by the World Bank. Once we started our project, 2 or 3 months, we are all faced the COVID-19. So the project has formed a new package, that is COVID-19 assistance package. Within the POD of the TNRTP, the COVID CAP is have the objective of to restart the enterprise that do not reopen or open at smaller scale due to lack of capital because of the COVID-19 lockdown, and to bring incomes and employment back to pre-lockdown levels, reduce job loss, both formal and informal, and avoid the distressed sale of assets. The CAP intervention included 4 focused areas. One is working capital support fund for individual nano and micro enterprises. And one-time capital grant to the existing collective enterprises, such as producer group and enterprise groups. And the capitalization to the producer collectives working in our project areas. And individual assistance to the enterprise and livelihood run by the differently able and vulnerables. And startup fund support for the skilled youth migrant returnees. These are the focused area for the CAP assistance. You all know that during the COVID itself is a novel experience for all our concerned. There was no prior reference point on how to deal with such a situation. And gathering producer groups and enterprise group was challenging, as there was no public transport and protocol had to be strictly followed by everyone concerned. The project staff were also impacted by the COVID. This was another challenge. So they have faced more difficult to implement the CAP in the project area. We have focused on 4 areas. The process or selection and governance practices involved in the implementation. First one, the individual enterprises. The individual entrepreneurs must be an SHG self-help group members or belonging to the self-help group households. And it should be affiliated to the Panchayat level federation. It's the apex body of the self-help groups in the Panchayat level. The Panchayat level federation selected the enterprise by assessing the application received from the individual. So the executive committee of the Village Poverty Reduction Committee is another community-based organization working for the vulnerable and disabled, and also for the youth. So the executive committee of the Village Poverty Reduction Committee selected the enterprise and livelihood activity carried out by the differently able, vulnerable, and SOMR and skilled youth after assessing the application received from the individual. This is a process, steps for the their applications. For the collective enterprises, the existing enterprise groups and producer groups were collected in the stakeholders department, such as TNSRLM, agriculture, horticulture, agri-engineering, fishery, all those things. So a district executive officer has constituted a selected committee at block level with an executive officer from TNRT and block level representatives from the agriculture and horticulture and other allied department. So this is a committee, it's approved, headed by the district collector, approved by the district collector. Next. Before we enter into or intervene for the cap, you all know that the scenario of the crisis at the COVID and lockdown time, the people involved in daily wages and small vendors were the most affected group. Microfinance activities were most affected. The restriction on movement affected in terms of the availability of inputs for the farm activities. So during COVID crisis, fund constraint was a major issue for the small entrepreneurs. The COVID crisis has led many small and tiny entrepreneurs involved in the business to end their business. Especially when compared to urban, the rural are affected more. The lack of employment opportunity resulting in the migration to the native village, it triggered a massive migration from the urban to rural area in large part of the country and abroad. So distress sales by the farmers further produced, it affected the cash flow of the farmers and farm laborers and micro enterprises. The supply chain was affected to the large extent, affected the farm gate sales. So this is a scenario when we introduce the cap support package. Next. So because of this COVID package intervention, we have supported the individual enterprises. Each village has received 4 lakhs for the individual enterprises. And SYM or skilled migrant, youth migrant returnees are received maximum 1 lakh. And the individual entrepreneurs, livelihood, physically challenged and vulnerable are received maximum 25,000. So we have through the Panchayat level federation and BPRC. These are the this is a loan. They are treated as a loan for the members. They are repaying that. For the producer collective enterprises, producer group, enterprise groups, and producer collectives, we have given us a grant. So this intervention will help. Finance support was provided to the individual enterprises. Restart and do not reopen and open a smaller scale due to the lack of capital because of COVID-19 lockdown. The individual assistance to the support enterprises livelihood run by the different able and vulnerable sectors of the community help to ensure the sustainable livelihood in the rural area, because the physically challenged and the vulnerable categories are most affected section of the society. So because of this intervention of the cap, the livelihood of the insured. The migrant crisis was looked as an opportunity to rethink the whole aspect of the migration by using the innate and acquire the skill of the migrants who have moved back because of the intervention. The capitalization support to the existing producer collective will help to strengthen and sustain the producer collective and the primary members who are affected during and after the lockdown. So the capital support to the existing producer group, enterprise groups are a group of producers who are primarily engaged in farm and non-farm sectors, influences the growth of the secondary and tertiary sector of the economy. So through the capitalization support, the producers were impelled to minimal dependency on the regular supply chain, seizing the opportunity through the farmers producer company. Next. In Kadalur districts in Tamil Nadu, this cap assistant package was implemented 120 blocks of 31 districts in Tamil Nadu. I'm talking about our districts, the Kadalur districts. The beneficiary covers for the individual enterprises through Panchayat level federation. Each Panchayat level federations are received 4 lakhs, covering 8 to 10 individual enterprises. Totally 280 village Panchayat level federation, 3019 beneficiary, the amount of 1120 lakhs. The individual assistance through the village poverty reduction committee, so supported by 1.25 lakhs. Totally 2287 beneficiary households are benefited, 350 lakhs. The capitalization support to the producer collectives, that is FEO, 1 PC is supported, 380 members are members in the PC, so 10 lakhs they have received as a support amount. 110 capital grant to the producer groups, maximum they received 1.50 lakhs. 132 producer groups are benefited. 6,693 members or producers are in the PGs. 198 lakhs are received a grant and benefited. For the enterprise groups, 12 enterprise groups are benefited. 164 members households are benefited. 18 lakhs total amount. For the startup fund for the migrant, skilled youth migrant returnees and skilled youth, they have 246 youth are benefited, maximum amount of 245 lakhs. Next. Because of the cap intervention, so 3019 individual enterprises and 2287 individual assistants are benefited, 246 skilled migrant returnees. They came as without hope. They returned back to the rural areas because of the cap intervention. Now they become the entrepreneurs and they help to improve the employment opportunity to others also. The person involved in the livelihood activity were able to retrieve their business and livelihood activity. The project has stimulated the economic activity in the rural areas because the farm sector will help to motivate other secondary and tertiary sectors. This help to improve the drive to the rural economy for the sustainable development. The skilled youth migrant return is presently tap the available internal market, sustain the business. So producer group help in supporting the farmers through startup fund in availing the machinery and the farm input to the sustained activity. Next. So uniqueness of this project, no other enterprise activity promotion has been initiated during the COVID in country and other side of the country also. Because during the COVID time, the nation and the state are concentrated only on the meditation purpose and rehabilitation works only. So the enterprise, the people not seeing on this day. So this is the project I think to look after the looking into activity, enterprise activity. So this model has been a special initiative which can be replicated in any part of the country in crisis also, crisis period. How the cap intervention create the impact or opportunity open up to our TNRTP or TNDKP's regular enterprise promotion activities. It promotes and confidence to provide financial linkage by the financial institution to cap supported individual for the group enterprise for business expansion. For example, we have seen on a female entrepreneur is supported from the individual enterprise maximum 50,000. Now he has received the 8,44,000 from the financial institution Indian Bank for the expansion of the project, expansion of these enterprises. This is a she has involved in the mushroom enterprise. During the cap support, he received 50,000 for the individual enterprise. After 1 year, he expanded his business. He has expanded the mushroom lab and 3 types of sheds. So because of this cap intervention, the financial institutions are come forward to support their, they got the confidence to support their entrepreneurs. So the provision of startup fund support, motivating the existing enterprise and producer. Generally, the existing producer groups are male members or members of the producer groups. The TNRTP have the guidelines of 65% of women should be there in our producer groups. So it helps women motivate the women to member of the producer groups. Generally, the women members are in the self-help groups. They are taking the fund or microfinance for their consumption purpose. For the producer groups, mostly gents are in a member of that. But because of the cap intervention, more women members are coming forward to be a member of the producer group and enterprise groups and the producer collectives. The provision of startup fund support motivating the producer primarily engaged in the farm and off-farm and non-farm sector to aggregate in the collective. Generally, people are coming forward to in member of the producer groups. They are not developed as a producer collectives. But because of the cap supported, the producer groups are interested to become aggregate as a producer collectives. So, and also the cap intervention triggers the primary producers involved in the farm and off-farm and non-farm to acquire the skills for the higher value added agriculture and allied activities through community farms. Generally, the farmers not thinking about the farm activity as a business activity or enterprise activities, because they need more skilled and more skilling requirement. So because of the cap intervention, the producers are thinking on this way. That is a need for value chain analysis, value chain intervention, value chain development. So by this they are they are interested to get the training from the community farm school. So community-based skilling and training in traditional highly remunerative trades, which have high potential for job opportunity or self-wage employment through master craftsmen and rural areas. Generally, the producer groups are existing in many of the state and many of the country, and enterprise groups are not much numbers. Because of the intervention of the cap, now the enterprise groups numbers are increasing, especially for the traditional crafts. For example, in Kadalur districts, the pottery is pottery and Sidambaram covering, all the things are, it's a traditional crafts. It's coming upgrade. Next.
Please conclude now.
These are some photographs. The first figure in the Vijay Kumar, he is the person, SYMR. He received 1 lakh from TNRTP. And now he has interest to expand his business. Last month, he received 4.8 lakhs for ThoughtCo schemes for the expansion of his business. So this is 1 or 2 examples I'm showing this. So life does not get better by expectation, it gets better by the transformation. Thank you.
Very good project, madam. In fact, is there any study or some impact assessment whether those enterprises which you have supported during COVID phase, what is their status now? Are they doing well, or do they still need some support? What is their status now?
So we have a regular follow-up of this, all the beneficiaries, sir. For the individual entrepreneurs, and we have the Google Drive collection we have. So we have the...
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, please. Very much audible, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. We have the regular follow-up. We have the in TNRTP itself, we have some funding provision is there, matching grant program is there. So by this matching grant program, we are supporting for the individual entrepreneurs and the collective entrepreneurs for the 30% subsidy provisions. So we have the tracking, further expansion, and new startup also.
Okay, means you have whatever support you have provided during COVID phase has supported them very well, and they are now able to carry on their businesses in a better way. Okay. Okay, thank you, madam.
Pardon, sir, I couldn't catch your last point.
No, I just want to know whether I just wanted to say that your support during COVID phase have definitely helped them, so that now they are in a better position.
Yes, sir. We have the regular program also.
Good.
Program of supporting the individual entrepreneurs and for the skilling portion also.
That was the whole objective of your supporting during COVID phase. Good. Thank you, please.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Disney, can we take next project?